May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable now in your sight. O God, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. The risen Christ says to us through Matthew's gospel, you are the salt of the earth, you are the light of the world. I think we get the light image. The salt image, kinda. Not really, and I may use that phrase fairly often. It's a family phrase. Our youngest son, Soren, for years has had this way of delivering a soft no. Soren, would you like to go to a movie? Kinda. There's a long delay, and eventually says, well, not really. Salt of the earth. We misunderstand if we think it means, oh, somebody's just down to earth. No, salt of the earth has to do with a world where salt was a precious commodity. Where really the phrase worth your weight in salt is like saying worth your weight in gold, or maybe more appropriate, worth your weight in Super Bowl ad costs. Very, very valuable. Salt was used in the day before refrigeration, ice boxes, freezers. It was a way to preserve what was in danger of rotting. So fish and meat would be covered with salt to preserve it. Not forever, but for a while. It was used for other things too. It was used as kind of a cleansing agent, an agent in healing. It was used to draw blood out of meat for religious purposes and so on. But just that image of a preservative, I think, is pretty important in what's in danger of rotting. So what today is in danger of rotting? Unless it is wrapped in salt. Integrity, compassion. How about last week, the text, the sermon? Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly. What needs to be surrounded by our words and actions to preserve it today? Okay, so that's salt. And Jesus says, you are salt. You are light. And I really like what David Lose writes about this text. David Lose taught at the seminary for 14 years. Among other things, he was a preaching prof. He's currently the president of Philadelphia Seminary. And he's been called to Mount Olivet, Big Mount Olivet, to be their senior pastor, although he doesn't officially start until July 1, because he's involved in a small little task of trying to bring Gettysburg and Philadelphia seminaries together. But he says about this text that Jesus says you are salt and light. He does not say, if you want to become salt, if you want to become light, then do this, that, and the other thing. Jesus doesn't say, before I can really call you salt and light, I'll need to see this from you. No, he says right now, today, you are salt and light. Yes, you are, I am, we are together. We don't have to wait until we get all perfect, because we're never going to get perfect. Today, we are salt and we are light. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good works and give glory to God. We do say those words, let your light shine, at baptism. We should probably add the words to that person being baptized, baby or adult. You're the light of the world. You're the light of the world. Elsewhere, as in John's Gospel, Jesus says, I am the light of the world, but in Matthew here, you are the light of the world. In Christ, we are light, but especially together. And especially in Matthew's Gospel, William Willimon says Matthew is the most communitarian of all the Gospels. So especially when we hear these words in Matthew, Jesus is saying this to us together. But do we believe it? Do we believe it? Will we claim it? Is this really our identity? My wife Catherine and I have been to at least a couple of Minneapolis city conventions for the purpose of being involved in the process that selects candidates to run for Minneapolis School Board in a November election. But in order to go to those conventions, you first have to go to your local precinct caucus, and you probably know this. It was at one of those local precinct caucuses a few years back that someone brought a resolution and made some comments that sticks with me. The resolution was to do away with race-based, ethnic-based reporting of standardized test results in the classroom to kids. Now, a disclaimer, I didn't know anything about how that worked, and I don't know where it's at today, but it's the point of this person. The person that brought this resolution was a teacher, public schools. He was white, but he had adopted a child of color. And he was firmly convinced that his son, as he heard how his particular racial ethnic group did on these standardized tests relative to white students, that is, how they did relatively poorly relative to white students, his son's own results mirrored the results of his group. In other words, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. In other words, his son lived into the label. David Lowe's comments about children's self-esteem. That psychologists have done studies that for every negative message a kid receives that tears down her or his self-esteem, they need about 10 positive messages to restore their self-esteem to where it was before. Not those fake ones. You know, you're the best baseball player, best dancer, best singer, you get a blue ribbon forever. Not those fake things that kids see through right away, but genuine messages that build them up. Need 10 for every one that tears them down. Loos wonders if the same studies had been done among teens, might be twice that. And then by the time we get to adults, it may be back to needing about 10 positive messages to 1. Call a child bad often enough, and he or she will live into the label, right? He or she will act out that label. Will start to believe that about themselves. Call a child or a teen or an adult worthless, unlovable, incompetent, shameful, and we live out those labels. But call us lovable, competent, trustworthy, gifted with a particular skill, and we grow into that identity. That's who we are. That's who we are. The risen Christ declares to us, you are salt, you are light. But do we believe it? Do we claim it? Is this integrated into our identity, individually and together? When we believe it, we start to live as salt and light. My dad was fortunate to go to college on a GI Bill a long time ago. The only one of his 5 siblings to do so, not uncommon, perhaps for you too. And he studied accounting at the University of Minnesota, came out an accountant and became a CPA. His first job was working for Arthur Anderson, working downtown Minneapolis. I haven't had any preachers in my family in the past. I'm not sure I'll have any in the future, but I have had an accountant father. He worked for Arthur Anderson in the early 1950s. By the early 60s, he left them and went to work for another company. Arthur Anderson used to be one of the big 5 accounting firms in the nation before they went down in shame. with the Enron scandal as well as another scandal or two. In the Enron scandal in 2001, they were involved in an accounting scandal with them. But I remember during that time, my dad was retired then, but I remember him saying that the old man would be rolling over in his grave. The old man was Arthur Anderson himself. My dad had met him a few times. He said he'd be rolling over in his grave because he preached integrity. Arthur Anderson preached integrity. As a matter of fact, once upon a time, they were considered the conscience of the accounting industry. I sat at my dad's funeral a few years ago. I told this story, and I said honesty and integrity were central to his identity, to his character. And his faith was an important part of that. He didn't wear it on his sleeve, but it was very real to him. I don't know if he consciously thought I'm salt and I'm light, whatever, but his faith was central. It shaped who he was. Maybe Arthur Anderson himself shaped his identity. Lenny Levi Arnivik, he was all Norwegian. It sounds like an Italian Jewish Norwegian, but Lenny Levi Arnivik, you're a man of integrity. He internalized that. So years after my dad left Arthur Anderson, we were working for another company. His boss asked him to do something seriously unethical, to alter the books, and I won't say about what. All my dad said was, "You're talking to the wrong person. I cannot do this thing, and if it means I have to quit, I'll quit." Although it turned out that he didn't have to quit his job, he was willing to put his job on the line, a job that was very important to him, and I might add very important to his family, to maintain his integrity. You are salt, preserving integrity in a world where it is so easily compromised. You are light. My dad lived out those labels in his own way, in his own context. How are we living out those labels today? Jesus says we are salt. We are light. It's the authenticity of who we are. Live daily in whatever our context, that we live as salt and light, that others see that our faith is real. It can be, like I said to the kids in school, kids standing up for somebody that's being picked on. It's the kind of things you probably do a lot of, those little daily hidden things. Shoveling or snow blowing a neighbor's walk. We might have snow on Tuesday. Giving a ride to someone to church or the grocery store or the doctor's office. Bringing a meal to someone who's grieving, you know those things. It's those daily acts of kindness, of walking humbly. But it's also the things we can kind of only do together. It's the public things. Because Isaiah says, he proclaims that your light will break forth like the dawn when we loose the bonds of injustice, free the oppressed, feed the hungry, take care of the homeless poor. We can't really do a lot about that by ourselves individually, can we? We need each other. We need to band together as people of faith. We need to find common bonds with people outside of the church and of other faiths. We can only do certain things together for those more public acts of being salt and of living as light. You are salt. It's plural in Matthew. You are light. Will we claim this as our identity? Not only individually, but as a faith community. Is this our identity? Will we live as salt and light? Do we believe it? Is it integrated into our DNA? And when it's integrated into who we are together, we can actually be salt in regards to so many things that are in danger of rotting today. We can actually be light in a world where there is too much darkness. Amen.